Thanks for clicking in and welcome to the Coaches Show. We're getting ready for week 9 of Missouri high school football. I am Adam Howe, your host, and like he's been for the prior 8 weeks, I've got Wildcat head coach Ryan Boyer with me. Coach, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you.
This show is sponsored by State Farm Insurance, Susie Broderson, Shelter Insurance, Leanne Beeman, Community National Bank and Trust, J&D Pharmacy, Pitts Homes, and Tracy Spry and Associate CPA. So, Coach, it's an exciting time. Like we said, prior 8 weeks, we're looking at week 9 already of high school football in the state of Missouri.
Flying by.
So it's an exciting time in the state for football fans. Wildcats getting ready to take on Buffalo in a big one. First, we're going to look back at week 8. Wildcats win that when they moved to 6-2 with a 27-6 win over the Skyline Tigers. So before we get too far into the show this week, I know last Friday night was also senior night for your players in the class of 2023. So I just want to take a minute to talk about each of those guys and what they meant to the program, because you get that dedication, and several of these guys have been here for all 4 years, and we've talked about it at prior shows where I think this would be is it your second or your third class that you've seen all the way through?
It would be this year's 6 for me. So, yeah,
so it'd been your second.
Yeah, second all the way through.
So first of all, a running back, a linebacker, we've seen him on the field like it seems like forever. I'm sure opponents feel the same way. But Gage Whitaker.
Yeah, Gage, and to all these guys, it's always a neat, we call it senior week. We get to have conversations with them. They get to have more, I guess, intimate conversations with the team. And so, Gage's kid that has just been there for us. Like I said, it seems like he's been here the whole time. He just does it right on and off the field. His commitment and all the work he's put in, it's, for him to have the success he's had, it's to no surprise, because again, his work ethic and just mental toughness is, it's great to see, and excellent leader for us.
And then number 5, Cohen Walton. We've seen him do a lot of kicking over the years.
Yeah, the barbarian, as we like to call him. 4 years special teams guy for us, and again, just a smile on his face and everything he does, and you never hear that kid complain, and like I said, just a great attitude about everything.
And then we've got one, I want to hear you talk about this one, number 14, Tatum Boyer.
Yep, one thing, with him being my son, it's always a little different, but he knows that I'm gonna be harder on him probably than anybody else, and he
been there.
Takes the coaching, accepts it well, and I always credit my staff. I always thank them for the role that they play, because it allows me to be a dad at times, and and they do a great job with him, and obviously miss him playing for a couple different reasons.
Sure. And then of course, he'd be the second 14 that's a Boyer, and I guess we have to wait quite a few years for another one.
Yeah, for a little bit.
And then number 19, Nick Bagley.
Yeah, Nick, just when we were talking to seniors, said just the other day, it seemed like we were over there at Cass Midway, a season opener his freshman year, and we needed him to pop in, and he was ready. Play that middle linebacker, and we just brag on him how a lot of people's eyes he may be an undersized guy, but he's just such a tough, hard-nosed kid, and we give him a hard time this year about when he runs the ball, because it's open here and there's contact there, and he's probably going to contact.
He's going to the contact.
But again, just an excellent leader. Gonna miss him tremendously, and couldn't be more proud of everything he's been able to do for us.
And then number 23, Bryson Clark.
Bryson is what I call a quiet leader. He's not a big vocal guy, but shows up, great attitude, works every single day, never asks for anything, never complains. Fills in any time we need him, anywhere we need him, and again, just his growth over the years has been really neat to see.
And then depending on the night and where you need him, he's either number 24 or he might be in number 55, and that's Cage Stevenson.
Yep. Cage was able to join us this year, and like I told him, and another thing we talked about, wish we had him longer, but he's been a great impact, and he's been a great role player for us, and anything we need, and that was, I remember the first day talking with him, he said, Coach, hey, whatever you need me to do, I'll do. Just let me know, I just want to be a part of it, and he's been able to work his way into a bigger role on Friday nights, and I think just the other night, yeah, he had a sack, so that was great to see.
And he gets 2 jersey numbers, so that's a testament that he's doing whatever you need him to do.
Without a doubt.
And then number 57 is Hudson Carr.
Hudson Carr, he does it all. He's like a Swiss Army knife. He sits there and, he's played guard for us, he's played tackle for us, plays linebacker. He talked about, earlier in his high school career, played tight end, played a lot of different things, special teams guy, and again, just gets after it, and then he'll go out and run cross country on Saturday. It's pretty crazy, but again, and the kid that just never misses anything, great impact player for our team, and with such a great attitude about everything.
And then we had 8, and the last one here, number 59, Jared Harbath.
Yeah, Jared, another guy, another senior that joined us this year. Neat deal. You hear his brother's name announced a little bit more, but Jared came to us this winter, said, "Hey, I want to be a part of it. I also want to play, with my brother, his freshman year, my senior year." And again, he's came such a long way since when we first got him over winter weights. It's neat to see his growth, and he's helps out on special teams and been able to get in here late this season and play a little bit of D tackle for us and do some things. So again, another guy that will be missed. He's a great personality, great guy to have around the team.
And then the thing that I noticed out of 8 seniors, and I didn't even make these notes, but 3 of these guys are, I guess, what we'd call at least second generation Wildcats. One of them might be a 3rd generation Wildcat. But that's Whitaker, Boyer, and then Carr. So have those guys all back, and they, of course, the Wildcat blood has been bred into them. So having those guys back, that's a really cool deal. So the Wildcats pick up a much-needed win in Week 8 over the Skyline Tigers. And Skyline's a team that in the past we've seen them try to spread teams out and throw quite a bit. And I know it's maybe even a game that we've marked as, I guess, one that not I don't want to say worry about, but one that you have to be concerned with. But this year, just last week, they faced some injuries that didn't really allow them to do that on Friday night. And so we've talked a lot about preparation and what you think is going to happen on a Friday, and then what actually does happen that night. And you guys have done a great job making adjustments and such, and you had to make those on the fly. What did those look like last Friday night?
Didn't know till late that the quarterback was out due to some injuries, and so with that, their go-to guy, the Woodhouse kid, and he's an exceptional running back, just an athlete football player, and so with that, putting him at quarterback, it definitely it's one where we're already dialed in and keyed into what he's doing, but it does change it a little bit, and they're a heavy run attack. And he threw the ball okay, but again, just some things that they were doing, it is an adjustment. And when you've been preparing all week, that like we told our kids, when we obviously found out before they did and realized it before they did, and so we didn't want them to panic. We didn't want we wanted their mindset to be in the preparation that we worked on all week, and to that it was, hey, we'll adjust as needed. You guys play ball. And it is always interesting. It happened to us. It's been about 5 years ago. We were up in Dobnoster, and that was an actual in-game deal when the quarterback went down. And they went straight Wildcat, and that turned into just a shootout. And so we were fortunate that didn't happen. But yeah, it is something to adjust to, and the kids did it well. And really, probably the bigger adjustment with our secondary was, hey, they're not going to be as pass heavy. Adjust kind of how we're playing that, and make sure we're getting downhill and running the alleys appropriately.
So far from a shootout, actually, 27-6, more typical of a Saturday or Sunday afternoon game. But a really cool football score, 27-6, and a lot of balls on, or not balls on the ground, but a lot of rushing. A lot of yards on the ground. So looking at that game, Skyline takes the opening kick. They march it down, but come up empty. Wildcats get one at really late, I guess, in the first quarter on a 2-yard touchdown run by Gage Whitaker, and then Logan James kicks an extra point, puts the Wildcats up 7-0. I think there was a fumble recovery by Oliver Robertson there in that first quarter, but first quarter 7-0. So then in the second quarter, Skyline, I think, ate up a lot of clock, just run. And then Wildcats get the ball back. They drive down. They actually get stalled, though. And then Logan James kicks a field goal. We'll talk about that field goal here in a little bit.
Yep.
Gage comes up with a blocked punt later that kind of set the Wildcats up. Still didn't do anything with it. But either way, 10-0 at halftime. And then second half kind of exploded. I say exploded, but I guess there was more offense. Wildcats get another touchdown in the third from Nick Bagley on a 3-yard run, and James hit that PAT, 17-0. Onside kick. Cohen Walton, I think, bounces it off the front line shin or something like that, just completely ricocheted. Josh Harvath comes up with the recovery, and then that set up another touchdown for the Wildcats, that time through the air, and that was Tatum Boyer to Jace DePriest, and that was a long one too, 45 yards there. James nails a field goal in the fourth. Skyline gets a touchdown there in the fourth quarter for a 27-6 final. So anyway, Warsaw gets back in the win column. They sit at 6-2 in the regular season, and we touched on that a little bit last week. But the Wildcats are 2-1 in the OHC, but so is Buffalo. And Butler stands alone at the top of the conference right now. They're 3-1. They have no conference games left. Either the Wildcats or the Bison are going to win on Friday night. Right. There's no doubt about that one. So that'll put that winner at 3-1 also. But tell us again how that tiebreaker works. Do they go to the season record? Is it head-to-head? How do those bylaws read?
The way it currently reads, it's you'll share it. I mean, you'll be a co. So, as I said, you're going to have a winner Friday night. They're going to share that title with Butler. It's something that doesn't happen very often. So I know, in being in the conference long enough, that if this is something that was a recurring thing, then it may start going to points and things like that. But I think probably the bigger overall goal there is you don't want to see teams just running it up just because, in theory, that there may be a tiebreaker at the end. So.
Right. But either way, with those kind of implications, and of course, we are also in Class 2 District 5 with Buffalo, so it has both conference implications, it's got district implications. So essentially, Week 9 here becomes a little bit like can we call it a pre-playoff game? I mean, you would have to expect that same type of atmosphere on Friday night.
Without a doubt, and that's what we like about this time of year. Obviously, every game matters, but and that's what we tell our kids, like, hey, going into Week 9, you control your destiny. You control opportunity to share a conference title, and you control kind of where you're seated and how we host and what we host and who we see in the districts next week.
And looking at the offensive stats for the Wildcats on the ground, they go 35 times for 170 yards, almost a 5-yard per carry average, 2 touchdowns. Gage Whitaker had one of those and also 74 yards on 18 carries. Nick Bagley goes for a touchdown also, but he picked up 60 yards on 7 carries. So I'm not great at math, but that's a really, really good average. And then Tatum adds 36 yards on 10 carries. So then on through the air, Tatum goes 5 for 9, 161 yards, and that's 32.2 yards per completion, far above the 9.75 yards average last week. And then 1 touchdown. On the receiving end of those, though, Jace DePriest, a big game, 3 catches, 137 yards. I had to do this average. 45.67 yards per catch, so that's that's okay. We'll take it. A touchdown. Gage has 1 for 19. Nick picks up 1 catch for 5 yards. So a team total of 331 total yards for the Wildcats. I want to go offensively. I want to look at special teams a little bit. Logan James, and I said we'd get to him. And goes 3 for 3 on point after tries. He has 2 field goals made, 1 at 34, 1 at 21. That 34-yarder, a new school record. And I think it breaks the record set just a year ago. By Tom Howe. He was the exchange student for the Wildcats last year. He kicked we believe, a 32-yarder over at El Dorado. But we don't get an opportunity to talk about special teams guys a whole lot. But Logan James in the last 3 weeks is perfect. I think before whoever we beat before Butler. I can't. El Rio. I think he was 5 for 5 that night. And then what he was asked to do at Butler, he did. And then again this week, he's perfect. So I think the last 3 weeks he's perfect. Hasn't missed a single kick that he was called on. That must be pretty satisfying for you all as a staff, but especially for him, being that he'd never kicked a football until this season.
Oh, without a doubt, and it's something that we always stress to our kids, winning in all 3 phases, and that special teams phase is so many times overlooked, and see these kids excel in it, take pride in it, and truly make an impact. It's going to make it. We always say it's going to make an impact on the game one way or another. Might as well be positive, and so it was a neat deal, and and we're by no means about records, but like I said, last year we haven't seen field goals kicked for a while, and so by the end of the year, it was pointed out that Thomas had broke the school record, and so that's why it's pretty fresh in everybody's mind.
Right.
And again, it was, hey, go out and kick it, and then it wasn't until later on that somebody's like, hey, I think that was further than last year. So, but no, ton of credit to Logan. He's worked at it a ton, and
that's what we've talked about that, whether it has been on the show or prior to the show or whatever in whatever week, but. With Logan, we saw him miss a couple, and then he'd make one, and he'd make one that looked like it was good from 45.
Yep.
And then the next week, maybe miss a 20-yarder.
Yep.
But at some point this year, in the last few weeks, it's like you've seen the light click. Mm-hmm. And now, like we said, he's perfect for the last 3 weeks. So that's got to be encouraging as far as having an extra weapon that maybe other high school teams don't have.
No, without a doubt. It's something. I always tell anybody, if you can get down, to the 20 or inside the 20 and know that, hey, 3 points are an option here, a good option here. I never want to say anything's guaranteed, but a good option here. It's very rewarding, and again, those they add up. He ended up accounting for 9 points of the 27. So that's big on the night, and Nick Bagley's a deep snapper there, and Garrett Ferguson holds it for him, and I know those guys.
I'm glad you mentioned them because I was going to.
We
know it takes all of them to make it, and you got the other guys on that unit too. But yeah, the snap by Nick, the Garrett Ferguson hold, everything's got to be perfect. A lot of people discount those positions. You go, well, he just holds the ball or he just snaps the ball. Yeah. He doesn't just do that. If you think he just does that, sign up one day.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many things that go into that, and so yeah, it was, like I said, great to see there. I know we mentioned Cohen earlier for all of his kicking, his onside kick. Again, these are things. That onside kick creates possession. The field goals, the extra points, that's 1/3 of our scoring on the night. And so, it's great to see. Love to see it. And again, very rewarding and satisfying for those young men too.
Right, and really satisfying for Logan. Congratulations, Logan, on that school record, but just sailing by your dad's numbers, right?
Yep.
And Warsaw on the defense, Nick Bagley leads them with 6 tackles. Gage Whitaker with 5.5. Riley Taylor had 4 with 1 sack. Josh Harvath also had 4 tackles. He had a fumble recovery. Gage Stevenson had a sack for the Wildcats, and Oliver Robertson had another fumble recovery. Tatum Boyer, Jace Hubert, and Cohen Walton all with pass breakups in the game. So in the secondary, 2 of the 3 guys that we maybe haven't even mentioned this year. So
yep.
All right, so that takes care of week 8. Wrapping that one up, looking ahead to week 9 where the Wildcats take on the Buffalo Bison. We'll be back for that one right after this.
Hi, I'm Luke Beeman with Reese Nichols Golden Key Realty. We're located north of Warsaw on Highway 65. We have 14 real estate agents with 275 combined real estate years of experience. Give us a call at 660-438-7228. Please visit us on our website, reeseandnichols.com.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Adam Howe. Alongside me, Wildcat head coach Ryan Boyer. We just took a look at week 8. Looking ahead to week 9, Wildcats travel down to Buffalo for another OHC matchup. And that one, looking ahead, what to expect. Buffalo Bison in week 8, they dropped to 5-3, like we mentioned, 2-1 in the OHC. But 5-3 overall now after a 40-14 loss at home to Springfield Central. Looking at the Buffalo offense, a lot of missed, and this is where we get to ad-lib a lot right here, because you see a lot more video. So jump in anytime you want, but a lot of misdirection. There was some spinner type stuff. I almost saw like the trip to Rose Bowl right parade play at one point. I saw there's just all kinds of movement, and a lot of window dressing, or do they run stuff with that, or? Yeah, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's very, I like to say, very unorthodox in what you see week to week. And fortunately they're in our conference, so we've seen it. But to that, again, just the discipline that you have to have, because a lot of guys pulling. In any scheme you're playing a numbers game, but you have an offset backfield, you have guys crossing. So to that, again, defensively, it's just you have to be disciplined in everything you do, and you have to account for everybody that's on the field. Now, some guys obviously statistically are a little bit better, but everybody they have back there is capable, and that's where nothing changes in terms of you got to win the push up front, and you can't let where they can be dangerous. Anybody can, but especially in the scheme they run, is when they get both those guards out, they get 3 or 4 out of the backfield out, and it's pretty easy.
The numbers, right?
Yeah.
So looking at players, number 11, if you want to call him this, I guess number 11 is their quarterback.
Right.
So an athletic kid, a pretty good runner, mostly used outside, and we do see him throw a little bit. I think there was 10 or 11 pass attempts in that game against Central. But what impressed me a little bit was that he was able to throw when he's moving. Yeah. And it didn't matter whether it was right or left. Number 6, we see him. He lines up in the backfield with 11. 6 takes a lot of direct snaps, but what he does well is blocks for 11 a lot. Mm-hmm. But when they need the tough yards, they want to run downhill in between tackles, it's usually him.
Yep.
And then you see some other guys, they kind of get thrown in the mix there. They can catch the ball downfield, kind of just guys that are ready when their number's called, like a 28, a 10, mm-hmm. 3. So we've seen those guys too. Offensive line, decent size. They do get a good initial push at the line of scrimmage, I noticed. So unlike the prior 2 weeks, where the Wildcats defense saw a steady dose of one ball carrier, and that was Brendan Patrick at Butler, Ricky Woodhouse from Skyline. This week, Warsaw gets an offense that on certain plays you may not even know who's taking the snap.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty different look than what the team's seen all year long, really. And I guess what's with all these, you kind of talked about it, should I say unconventional offenses, and how's the Wildcats defense stay disciplined in preparation for that type?
Well, and to that, it's a great job by our coaching staff, but also to our scout team to give us this look, because again,
it's probably a pretty fun week for the scout team.
Yeah, and that's just it. It's guys, hey, like you have to do some things that you don't do in our system, and they really take ownership in that. And Coach does a great job, in preparing them. Coach Tombaugh does a great job running that, and because to it is hard to emulate some of these things, and that's what we always have to remind our guys. Hey, we can show it, but once you get in there, the game speed, this is where you're disciplined, and you got to be ready.
We've only been working on it 1 week. They've been working on it
right
for many weeks.
And to that, we saw Buffalo in the Jamboree, and they've improved each week, and and really figured some things out, and had some big wins along the way. And so again, we're excited for it. It's definitely a different look, and even as a fan in the stands, like you mentioned, you may not know where the ball's at some of the times. Player may be going down, you might be watching here, and
don't get caught talking to the person sitting next to you, because you may have missed a play.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Right.
Without a doubt.
So, any other wrinkles we see in the offense from different video that you've seen that I skipped?
No, you pretty well covered it. Their run game is what they go to. They can throw it pretty well, and again, they stay true to who they are and what they do. And it'll be, like I said, it gives teams some fits, and it'll be a handful.
And looking at guess over on the other side of the ball, the Buffalo defense looks like a 4-man front to me. It looks like maybe on that front line, if the Wildcats can get a good push right off the ball, maybe something they can take advantage of. Second level, a lot of times we've talked about this, where you see your athletes. Mm-hmm. They put those guys at the second level. They do a really good job of reading and reacting, getting to the ball. but what they might do is over pursue to the outside a little bit, opening up that middle. So maybe running between the tackles and stuff like that might be what Wildcat faithful can count on. Secondary maybe can be tested. Either way, these guys get in a lot of shootouts. We saw them take down Butler, and I think that was overtime. We saw them get into a shootout with El Dorado earlier in the year, I believe. Got into a shootout with Skyline earlier in the year. I think they put up 64 there. That is for Buffalo. They can put up the points. Looks to me, at least by film that I watched, that Wildcat fans who make the trip down to Dallas County may get to see kind of the whole line them up, smash it down the middle of the field type of football. I always picture Ron Davis smash mouth football Wildcats, right? Standing sitting right up there at the 50-yard line, but smash mouth football, and I say that because of the middle of that field. But I don't know, tell me, am I right?
Yeah, no, I mean that's what we look forward to. I mean, and that's what we tell our kids. I mean, you're gonna see, we'd say, a lot of football between the hashes, and they do a good job of getting outside. And like you mentioned, I think last week was the first time they haven't scored over 40 in 4 or 5 weeks. So, but to that, that's what we told our kids: hey, play our game, stick to our game plan. We prefer not to get in a shootout, but hey, we'll take a win any way we can get it.
Right. All right, and we're going to stop for one more break. We'll be back to wrap things up.
Hawthorne Bank supports our community. We also support our schools, kindergarten through 12th grade. Today I'm here with my friends, Coach Burdick with the Warsaw Youth Football League, and Coach Boyer. He is the athletic director for the Warsaw schools. Coach Burdick, what do you do with the money that we use for sponsorship?
We use it to purchase gear and repair gear and to purchase new jerseys.
And Coach Boyer, we've worked together on a few things. What do we work together on?
We've worked on the sponsorship for our scoreboard. In addition to, we do our Warsaw basketball tournament and our Warsaw wrestling tournament.
And through sports, our young people will learn the basics of the sport. They also learn to keep good grades, and they also have learned to build good character. When you are a customer of Hawthorne Bank, you are also supporting your community and the high school. Come open your account today.
One, two, three.
Gotta love Warsaw!
We do.
Hawthorne Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
All right, and we're back here. We're trying to wrap things up here for this week's Coaches Show. We always kind of take a look back. We look ahead. What's been going on through the week. Last Saturday, youth football flag. I believe you said they went somewhere around 2-2.
Yep.
So we got guys playing some double headers, I guess, in football and stuff like that right now at the flag level. Third and fourth, they won. I think they finished their regular season with just one loss.
I think you're right.
And then fifth and sixth, they actually lost to Windsor, I believe it was. Unfortunately, they finished their season with just one win. But those guys all getting ready, and we're kind of gearing up. We're going to get ready to talk about them. They're going to the championships, all those guys this weekend. Last Monday, JV football finished with a 6-1 record. Pretty impressive there. They beat Sherwood 36-6. So a lot of guys getting some, I guess, experience winning on Monday night. So varsity volleyball, they lost at Cole Camp, or to Cole Camp. That game was played at home. I think that was senior night for the volleyball girls. And then JV volleyball, they finished up their season with a win over Cole Camp, and I believe they finished, the JV girls finished their season at 17-4-1, if I remember right. Tuesday, cross country ran over at El Dorado. And then middle school football, they finished up their season. They lost over at Adrian. Wednesday night, everybody's off.
Everybody off.
So,
relax.
Thursday night, the youth football, they had a play-in game over at Windsor against Windsor. Didn't have those results, but if they win, they get to move on. If they don't, they are done. So, and then Friday night football down at Buffalo, and then tomorrow, Saturday, flag football. They start their championship weekend up in Sedalia. Got 3 teams up there trying to look for a trophy, and then youth football again. If 5th and 6th won on Thursday night, they'll play. 3rd and 4th does play. I don't know their opponent, but I know that's all played down at Skyline this year. So, what I missed?
First round volleyball districts. versus Russellville, and unfortunately,
And that's Friday night.
Yeah, it is Friday night, and so Wynn advanced to the semifinals on Saturday, and they've adjusted some times there, but we'll get that information out.
Yeah, unfortunately, shame on Misha, right? For putting a football game and a district volleyball game on the same night. So, anyway, looking back, I guess, kind of looking at some comments here. I believe you said that regardless win or lose against Buffalo, Wildcats will play their first round of district at home.
Yeah, yep. They'll be at home 7 o'clock next Friday. We'll get the information out Friday night at the latest Saturday morning on who that will be against. Just looking at our district, and most likely it'll either be El Dorado Springs or Versailles, but we will be at home for
So either way, two common opponents.
Yeah,
I mean, we've seen them
we'll
both.
see again. Yep.
Right. So that, of course, when Misha realigned or restructured everything, that first round of district is your week 10.
Yes.
But it will be played at home. I guess a couple things to note: no quarterback club tailgates at home through playoffs, districts,
Right.
and stuff like that. So there won't be any of that. I don't think you honor passes
Nope.
through Misha when it's a district playoff game. Anything else I'm missing that people maybe you're expecting but won't get?
Yeah, and I'll double check the gate fees. I like to say the week 10 you still get to have your regular gate fees, but it may be $5. I'll have to double check, but we'll get that information out, like I said, by the beginning of next week, so that way nobody's surprised when they show up.
Right. Well, and if you get them, they're probably gonna get that extra $1.
There you go.
And then a couple shout outs.
Yeah, I want to make sure, we talked about our seniors. 2 other seniors that are part of our team that do so much behind the scenes. Big Mike and Emily, they're our managers. They've been there for multiple years and just do a great job for us. We'll miss them, and they're always great to have around and very entertaining. But again, those are things that they take care of. They take care of so many little things that, again, a lot of people don't see, but they're very much part of this team, and we love having them. And we'll definitely miss them.
And the really cool part was when we very first got to see the video, the production, and Mr. Larson, Dennis Larson out in the school, does a great job with that intro video.
Yep.
But the coolest thing, and all of us are sitting up in the press box and we're watching, and we know the songs and we know kind of what it looked like last year, but when Mike showed up and he flipped that football over and it turned into a water bottle, that was cool. So I think everybody got a really good kick out of that one. So it's the Wildcats back on the road this week, regular season finale down at Buffalo. They'll be taking on the Bison, and like we said, is a big Ozark Highland Conference matchup. That kickoff set for 7 p.m. and we hope you can make that trip. But as a reminder, if you can't make it down to the game, you can also watch all Wildcat football games live on BCE TV, where Matt Dove and Drew Burdick always look forward to bringing those games to your living room. So, Coach, thanks for joining us again. We thank you for clicking in today. I'm Adam Howe, and we're going to the house.
This has been a BCE TV production. Thank you for watching.